actually does, or a funeral. You do look excited. And we're walking in a corridor, there are plants, and how funny this is to me. Like, wow, rainforest information. I'm so at a meal, it's just really, it's just. This is so insane. They give so much wine, and they're so nice. And it's very, very dark. That can be very Harry Potter, and it's beyond my wildest dreams.
I didn't take a single picture of you.
I just. Oh my god. Alright, I am home. I'm also slightly tipsy, so if my face is slightly red and the way I speak is slightly off or a little strange, give me a break. But I just got back. It is now 1 a.m. I got back from the bar, and it was, the entire night was so much fun. This was the first day of the Queen's College induction events, and I don't know if I was nervous going in, but I didn't really know what to expect. And basically, it started with us walking over, and everyone was dressed so fancy, including myself, but it was just kind of crazy to watch, like, a procession of people wearing very, very fancy clothing, going a 30-minute walk around campus, because we live in the grad housing, which is a bit further from where the college is, which is where all the events were today. Sat down, had talks for many hours, and I actually think that England does the whole like consent talk so much better than America does. The scenarios that they come up with, the way they teach it, the way they talk about it is so much more like practical and also more nuanced, because I feel like sometimes in America when you go to these consent talks, it's like, well, of course, is the way I see it, and like they're just not very engaging at all because of both kind of the way they've simplified the issues of the question and also just like the speakers themselves, how they deliver it, versus like the English people, like at least the ones we had today at the Queen's College, were so great at kind of coming up with situations that were actually realistic and actually require thought and conversation, and also just being like hilarious in general. And I loved hearing them speak. The DEI talk was actually really funny because there was like a woman and a man. The woman had her stuff together. She like had the presentations down. She knew what to say. The guy was not paying attention the entire set and would ask us like questions that we already saw the answers of on the earlier slides. So he'd be like, so the woman would just go through the slide, like, these are how many postgrads, diversity important because we have like these stats. And then the guy would be like, so guess how many postgrads there are? And the answer would be on the slide. We had just talked about it. And he would just bring it up. And I just thought that was hilarious. All of us were cracking up. Like the entire auditorium was just like laughing, like trying hard not to laugh, but it was hilarious. And then after multiple hours of talks from a lot of people, different people, and they were all engaging, they were all great, but like by the end we were definitely getting antsy, like all of us. We ended up going to like that event ended and we went upstairs to the library from the cool back entrance, and they had drinks in the library, and it was just so dark academia, like all of us dressed up. Like I was in heels and I was in like the cheapo dress, and like everyone else was dressed up. The guys were in suits, and we just walked in. We're in like this beautiful library with like historical like architecture and furniture. We're just like sipping little like champagne glasses and just chatting. And then pretty soon after that was just for a short bit, went downstairs back again, and we were at we're in the dining hall. Dining hall so fancy. We had a seating chart, and I totally didn't find my name at first. Thought I somehow forgot to RSVP, even though I'm the type of person who RSVPs the second I see the email. And it turns out I was at the high table, just the way the seats worked out. And I was sitting next to the provost, and I was so nervous. And we chatted a bit. And also, like, before they start eating, she says, like, this Latin prayer. it's insane. It's so dark academia. I've never seen anything like it. Like someone else bangs a gavel, she says Latin prayer, we all say like amen, and then we like sit down and eat. But before that, you're just standing. And she and I talked for a bit. She's like, the classic like getting to know you questions. And then she's like, so why England? And I explained, first of all, like one of the two books that really made me want to be a neuroscience major before I went to college was, one was Flowers for Algernon, but the other was Oliver Sacks, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. And Oliver Sacks was at Queen's College. Like he was at the Queen's College, that was his undergrad college, and after that he went to New York City to like practice and be a physician and like neurologist. But before that he was at the Queen's, and I was like, that's why I really want to be at the Queen's, that's why I'm really excited to be here right now. And she's like, oh, that's lovely. Like she's like, I've only been dean for a few years, I haven't met him, but like we definitely know of him, and he used to come back to visit pretty frequently, so he had a good time here. And then I was like, the second book that really made me want to come here, to come to England really in general, was Douglas Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is right here, and also my favorite book of all time. I bring it everywhere because like I love this book. I think it's the best book ever, or the best series, I guess technically, but love it. It is my lifeline. I know too many facts about it. I have like multiple things in the book memorized. It's a bit of a problem. I mentioned this. She goes, no way. And it turns out the provost of the Queen's College had been went to Cambridge before, and at Cambridge she was in the same college that Douglas Adams was at, and at their student bar they actually had the Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster, which is a big thing. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Zaphod, like Beeblebrox, is the one who created it in the book, and they bring it multiple times. And she was like, yeah, they used to have that student bar, like we were like big on it. And we just had this moment where she's like, yeah, like there's so many parts of the story that just stick to you, like the whale falling and like what it's thinking before it hits the ground, for the other details, but like she like brought up multiple things. And I was like, oh my god, like my favorite part is when like the bovine type creature, thank you John for having a debate with me about whether whether a bovine type means it's a cow or not a cow. But like I was like, when the bovine type creature is like, I'm gonna like nip off and like like shoot myself, like what part of my body would you like to eat? And obviously Arthur, the Earthman, is like horrified. But then the cow's like, okay, what's worse? Like, would you rather have a cow that like wants to be eaten, or like a cow that doesn't want to be eaten? So stuff like that. Like I mentioned that, she's like, oh my god, yes. And we had this moment about hitchhikers. I showed her, and just by chance the day I like brought my Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy tote bag with me as my bag to the event, to like hold the cardigan, like hold the other stuff, hold the water bottle. So I like brought it out. She's like, oh my god, it's made of Roman. And then, but for the rest of the talk, for the rest of the dinner, she mostly talked to the other girl next to her, which is great. She was also lovely. But I mostly talked to the fellow across from me, who was a behavioral neuroscientist. They had seated us relatively according to discipline. So talked to the behavioral neuroscientist in front of me, and the girl next to me, it was the first year in her DPhil in in psychology. So we chatted a lot. She's from the Czech Republic, so we talked a lot about like, I don't know, like living in England or like things like that. And the meal was so nice. But the crazy thing for me is I didn't realize that each course of the meal came with its own wine, and I wasn't really paying attention when they poured the wine. So at one point I just had 4 wine glasses, and I'm really not a drinker. Like I'm very much like fruity little drinks or like ciders. Like I don't have the highest tolerance, and like just generally I don't like the taste of alcohol, and I haven't gotten to the point where I enjoy the taste of wine yet. But apparently the Queen's College has one of the biggest wine cellars, and as a result of that has really nice wine. I am not skilled enough to recognize that it's really nice wine, so I was not probably making the most of my experience there. And I just felt so bad because I like by the end of the meal I had 4 wine glasses in front of me, like the last of which was like a small glass of port. And I would like, it was like white wine, red wine, like maybe some champagne or prosecco, and then like the port. And I was like, oh my god, like I'm not finishing any of these, and I felt so bad. So next time I'm just gonna turn all my wine glasses upside down so that like they don't try to pour it into that. I felt bad. But the girl next to me, the Czech one, was like, apparently her dad is a sommelier, however you say it, and like she's like, oh, I kind of can tell like a good wine and a bad wine, these are good wines. So that was fun. I had too much wine like on my table. I actually didn't like imbibe any of it, which I feel bad about. I tried my best to take some sips. I still just cannot enjoy the taste of wine, and maybe that'll change my time here, but today was not the day for it to change. And then after the dinner we all went out, and we went to the OXO bar for a social, and this was held by the MCR, which is the middle common room, and basically kind of the equivalent, like at Harvard we call them houses, and like House Committee HOCO, and this was kind of like the grad school equivalent, where it was like all of the graduate students in Queens. Like, this is the body that we are a part of, and this is kind of the social, like, family that we are a part of within the college. We're the middle common room. And we were at the bar, and we just, like, had a bunch of drink tickets, when, like, basically, like, an open tab, and we were just getting, like, a bunch of fun drinks. And I spent most of it just flitting around, either talking to, like, friends I already knew, so just, like, Finn and Sadie, or, like, meeting new people. I did try to go around and meet all the Americans. So I met people from, like, Maine, from Colorado, from, where's the other one? Maine, Colorado, those are the ones I remember. Oh, and upstate New York, and, you know, just, like, chatting about, like, that. And then I also met just, like, other people, like, friends of friends, or just, like, sit down and chat with people, and I'd forgotten how fun it can be to talk to strangers. I think I was, like, in my introvert era for, like, the past 2 years, because for junior, senior year of college, especially, like, latter half of junior year, I feel like I found kind of my group at college, or by college I mean undergrad, and because of that, I didn't really, like, go out of my way to meet new people all the time. I was like, okay, like, these are my group, I really like hanging out with them, and we only have, like, a bit of time left in undergrad, so, like, I really want to spend all my time with them. But today I was like, was the first time I talked to just a bunch of strangers in a row, and it was really, really fun. And, like, once in a while, like, I catch the eye of, like, an old friend, like Finn and Sadie from, like, across, like, the room, and we'd, like, exchange a glance. But mostly I was, like, talking to new people. That's really exciting. And I learned that we have, at Harvard we call them SIP fams. I think it's a similar idea. Like, you have little families where you have, like, people who are more experienced, and they're, like, paired with people who are, like, less experienced. So people have basically been in the MCR for longer, versus, like, with people like me who are, like, freshers effectively. And I realized that my SIP father, is actually the MCR president. And we talked for most of it, and it was so lovely because we are the same person. I was not aware of this. He was not aware of it either. His name is Max. He's amazing. And we were talking about sci-fi books, and he goes, have you read, like, Kurt Vonnegut? I was like, you have no idea. I've spent this summer reading Kurt Vonnegut. And we had the exact same favorite Kurt Vonnegut books. And, like, Kurt Vonnegut obviously is known for, like, Slaughterhouse-Five, but, like, both of our favorite books are Cat's Cradle and Mother Night. I think Mother Night is criminally underrated. I think it's the best Kurt Vonnegut. And, like, we were just, like, freaking out about that. We learned we were both super into Taylor Swift. Learned we both, like, read Flatlands, which is also, like, a pretty niche book. I mean, apparently all mathematicians have read it, but I'm obviously not a mathematician. I'm a neuroscience major, and I had found it because I was volunteering at a bookstore, and I covered the sci-fi section, so any sci-fi books that came through, I went through, and I saw that, and I, like, picked it up, read it. But anyways, like, we were like, we've read, like, super similar books, like, we like similar books, we're both really into sci-fi, we both love Taylor Swift, and Fall Out Boy, and we were just having, like, the best conversation. And, like, for the latter half, after, like, a lot of my friends left, like, me and the MCR president were just, like, aka my SIP father, and just aka, like, just a great person, Max, like, amazing person in general. We were just, like, talking about books, about music, and just about interests, and I was having the best time. And then, yeah, so we were there for a while, and we ended up getting drinks that lit on fire, because since we were, like, one of the last few there, obviously he's the president, so he's, like, gonna stay through the event, like, at the bill at the end. We had, like, a bit left on the tab, so we decided to just go all out, and we got a drink called the Zombie, which they literally lit on fire. I thought that was insane. The presentation was great. And part of it was, like, you take a shot from, like, a little, like, passion fruit. That thing was the worst thing I've ever tasted, and you chase down the rest of the drink. Yeah, so we did that. We chatted for a bit longer, like, and then, like, we walked back. So that's how I got back at 1 a.m. But yeah, it was so much fun. And, like, I guess I'm kind of relieved that I have any extroversion left in me, because I was kind of scared, because I haven't used it in the past 2 years, you know, since, like, junior year finding my group, and then, like, senior year, obviously, like, staying with the same group. But, like, it's nice to know that, like, when the occasion arises, I've still got some extroversion ability to socialize left in me. And just in general, it was such a lovely night. Like, from, like, the funny, well set up, engaging presentations, to the amazingly, like, Hogwarts-esque, like, dark academia, like, very classic Oxford vibe, like, dinner, and, like, just, like, entire, like, architecture of the area, and then, like, the fun, like, pub social band. And I'm just very, very happy with where I ended up at Oxford, and just where I've ended up in general. And yeah, so there's gonna be a lot more, I think, induction events coming up this week, including, like, SIP, I call them SIP fams, I would call them a Harvard. I think they're just called, like, families, like MCR families here. but including like family dinner. There's going to be a lot more freshers fairs and like student fairs where you can learn more about like student organizations. But yeah, very exciting. I'm just very happy.